Hey, everybody. Welcome. I'm John Zidar. Hold on. Yeah, I'm good. Oh, well, it doesn't matter, does it? Speaking of not being up to par, we have a photographer with us, a professional trader. He goes by Pookie's Revenge. You can call him Pookie. He doesn't mind. Pookie, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I've been called everything under the sun, so Pookie's fine. How's it going?
Well, like I said, he likes pictures, so he's a little camera shy. He likes to stay on one end of the camera, not the other.
Yeah.
But he's going to be doing our special guest charting for us today. You get my charting all the time. Lily's charting has been eye-opening for us. That has been a great help to me. And Pookie, he's going to be doing charting on the stocks that we look at. So who knows what we're going to learn here. I love to see everybody else's chart. It's like spaghetti sauce. No two are the same. All right, I'm going to jump on into this news. You know the format here. We'll give you some fresh news here that has come out. Oh, what has this been? Over the last, I'm going to guess 10 days. This is all from the OTC market. There is no penny stocks from the major exchanges here, but they're all penny stocks on the OTC. No boring news. This is news I've read. This is news I've gone through doing my due diligence and research, and I think is worthy of considering. So you can either listen to us as we chat it up a little bit here, or you can come back later and check this out. So we've had a kind of a strange week here. Pookie, did you see Lunar yesterday?
I did, and congratulations on that.
Yeah, well, that was playing the oops. Sorry about that. That was playing the SPACs. That was playing, I think it was IPACs, and they were merging with Lunar, and the deal completed. They got their ticker, they got their name, and they got to the moon. It was wild yesterday. Now, me and I'm probably sure most of the viewers weren't playing the actual stock itself. What a shame. I think that went from $38 to $136 yesterday. Yep. Wow. The warrant was hot. That's a penny stock. That's why we were looking at it. We like to play these warrants attached to these SPACs while they're putting these deals together. And we look for these sort of situations. Now, to be honest, I think it only got the warrant yesterday. 125% gains. I say only. Yeah, well, that's great. It is. There's nothing wrong with it. Matter of fact, I'll look at the charts with you here in a bit. I took my gains up there. Now, she could have gone higher. We've seen these things run thousands of percent, even tens of thousands of percent. Now, how much of it you can grab because of the spread? Well, that's up for debate in the moment. But the fact is, there are gains to be made here. Most of them are what I like to call pop, stop, and drops. Because of the spread, you get this big jump. And if you can get a second buy behind that, it'll lock it in and you can sell up there. And it'll sit there. And if it's sitting there, that's when you might want to consider taking your gains. Even though it's not 1,000%, it's only 100%. Take it. Let it drop back down and get back in at that same price, because it'll come right back down on these warrants. Bing, bing, bing. And then when that inevitable run comes in, you'll still be there, but you'll have made money while you were waiting. And that's what I did yesterday. I got into Lunar. I sold my warrants. I sold 3 times. I scaled out as she was climbing, and she kept going after I got out. And I was not worried about it, not one bit. My plan worked. Thank God. I missed the first bounce in the morning, was paying real close attention in the second part of the day. I'm doing a lot, as you can imagine, with all the stuff I post and stuff I'm trying to get together for my videos each day. So it was a good day for me, and I see it was a good time to get out. If I'd gotten greedy, everything has fallen today with Lunar. Both of them. Did you see that fall there, Pookie?
Yeah, there's a lot of unhappy people today that chased, and we kind of discourage that strongly. If something runs up 100+%, let it go. It's okay. There's plenty of opportunities. You've put out quite a few that have just run thousands of percent. I think what was that one, like 80,000% or something?
Oh, that was my initial breakthrough, 86,000%. Man, I've not been, I mean, that was like doing a Babe Ruth impression on your first day on the field, and I've never had a home run like that again. But yeah, thanks for remembering.
That's possible. Right.
Yeah, that was just looking for certain conditions. On the OTC market, there's a lot of conditions like coming off the expert market, which is what I had caught. You get on there because you're late with your filings. You come off when you get your filings caught up. Well, one company had been all caught up, and I seen the attorney letter there. It looked ready to come out, but they don't announce it until it happens. And I said, this could happen anytime. And I projected a 17,000% gain. I know who does that in their right mind, 17,000%. Well, the next day it came off the expert market and hit 86,000% gains. Who knew? Well, I kind of had a hint.
That's
So
right.
that's what we kind of look for. That's why we put up with paying $4 or $6.95 on TD Ameritrade to trade OTC, because that sort of crazy stuff happens. You don't get that on the NASDAQ.
No.
All right.
No, you don't.
I see we had that question come up already. And Velma, are you the only one here with a question? Well, you're lucky, because we're in the mood to talk about Lunar and Lunar W. I'm actually going to pull this chart up if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead. I got two lines drawn, so you go right ahead.
So this was Lunar. I've got the 4-hour chart over here, and this is a 30-minute chart. But you can see this was a $10 SPAC. She was floating right there at $10. They all do until the SPAC closes a deal. The common stock has a locked-in value. It's not going to move, maybe a few pennies up or a few pennies down. But if perchance the SPAC doesn't cut a deal in its time allotment, 18 to 24 months, the investors get their money back on the shares, $10 a share. So if you bought it one day at $10.50 for whatever reason, and they go out of business and liquidate, you're only going to get $10 back. So you don't see a lot of activity on this stock. After the merge, the stock comes alive and it goes crazy if they're happy with it. We've seen a lot of SPACs crashing right after they come on the market. With a name like Lunar, I swear to goodness that had 50% to do with why I thought this was going to run. Now, there's a lot to be said about the company. No doubt about it. Go do some DD. It's impressive. Anything in space is going to cost a lot of money. It's going to generate a lot of money. That's just the nature of the business. And it's exploration. It gives us a chance to use our imaginations, think big. People love that. We love to speculate on these small markets and new IPOs, new technologies. But Lunar itself is a catchy buzzword. It's just one of those things that strikes the imagination. And I think that had a lot the heck to do with this here. Now, whether it's worth this or not, I don't know. I haven't done a deep dive on the company, but I can't imagine it was worth $136 already. And it's way down here. And you're asking me if I think it's worth a buy? Well, it's down here to $19. That's twice what it came on the market as. It's 100% up from its original jump. Some due diligence is going to help you. I'm not into the stocks. I'm going to hold some warrants. I was in Lunar, but I didn't sell them all. I kept about 50 warrants. So in case it gets back up there, we looked into it. It's got to be over $18 for 20 days straight within any 30-day given period, and these warrants become alive. So we hit the $18, and we're still there. We're still there. We're at $20 right now. I think it's a matter of closing over $18 for 20 days. But that's when the warrants come alive. So no, you couldn't use your warrants yesterday. But I'm hanging on to mine because they're good for 5 years. Anytime in the next 5 years, I can take one warrant, $11.50, and go get a share of stock. And if it's going for $100 that day, they'll deposit $100 into my account. You don't actually get the share, you get the money. Who's complaining? That's what we really wanted anyways. It just saves us a step. But now when you look at the warrant, normally if the stock goes up, you're going to get the warrant to go up too, because the warrant represents the value of the stock. It becomes worth more because it's going to be worth more. Well, this is what happened yesterday, or actually the last 5 days. She was in a channel. She took off yesterday. Now, this wasn't a huge run. It was nice, but to me, I think of it as any other OTC stock, and it's on the NASDAQ. It just ran. It kept going after I got out. Now, I can show you right here exactly where I got out at. I don't mind sharing this with you. So right here, I missed the first bounce in the morning, but then I didn't know how hot it was going to be. I'm going to come down to the 5 minutes here. I missed this bounce. came down to here. I waited for it, started the climb. Now, I was working on my 5-minute chart, which is this chart actually. And I had something drawn up here. I took a lot of lines down, but I took 2 here at 70. I took them each at 70 cents. And then I took my last third of all I had. I'm only using between $50 and $100 for these warrants. I'm not putting my farm on it. I'm just trying to quickly multiply these. I've got about 18 different SPAC warrants that are all in the midst of closing deals right now. I'm just waiting for each one to pop. Maybe they'll get a huge run and I'll get lucky. But if I can keep doubling my money on these, I'm okay with that. And then I took one up here at 88 cents. And every single one of these, I did have limit orders put in. I didn't try to catch the top. I actually caught the top on that one. It popped up and I was there to get it. So all of these were set orders. I wasn't actually chasing anything. And she continued. She hit $1.10 in the aftermarket. Was I a little bummed? No. I wasn't actually, because I had succeeded. I felt bummed when I missed the first bump in the morning because I would have probably sold there because it was a nice drop afterwards. But it worked out in my favor, and all of these were planned sales. I was waiting for things to happen, and they happened in my patience. So, no, I'm quite happy with it. Do I think it's worth another try? Well, it's a warrant. The warrant right now is down to 57 cents. Let's back this chart out. Where are we at? All right. She's underneath that original channel she was riding and broke out here. She's come through all of it down at the bottom, and it's just now trying to work its way back up in. To me, this would be a prime zone to pick yourself up a small amount of this. It's come back down to its normal area on its incline, and it probably is going to bounce inside the channel. So if you could buy it here, when it rides up, even if it doesn't break out, it's riding in the channel. You'll be able to sell there. Now, what's that giving you? That's 55 to 75. That is about 20, 25 cent spread right there. 20, 25 cent spread. That's 50% from the price right now. So you could easily buy in now, sell at the top up here, come back down, buy at the bottom. See if you can ride those bounces by watching the charts and setting up these recession channels here. You can make use of your time while you're waiting for that breakout. Hey, we got some more people here. Graph Duke, good to see you, pal. I like to see people showing up. Sayada, doing well today. You discussed this in a previous video. No doubt. I cover everything in a previous video. Long time hold for you, John? Actually, never got in it. I'll be honest with you, folks. Think about it. I covered 45 stocks in the last 30 days. I can't afford to get into every single stock I look at. Honestly, even a rich person isn't going to hold that many stocks. It's overwhelming. Right now, I am holding a lot of stocks. It has been an accumulation of when I came in knowing nothing about trading back in 2018, got stuck with a lot of bags, invested a lot in cannabis, which has had a down market for multiple years, still waiting for those to come back. Got stuck with a whole bunch after February 2021 when we had that dynamite run in February. I was getting 1,000% gainers every 3 days off of some stock that had no right to be running. And then when it turned off, well, I was holding a few of those bags there too. So I got a bunch of stocks that, thank God, really don't need a lot of attention. The ones we're looking at, they need my attention. I need to be paying attention to these. I don't want to miss bumps and jumps. Now, you can be putting your sell orders in, which is really what I'm starting to learn here. Call your exits. Don't just call your entries. And that's important too. Just don't buy on impulse. Look at the chart. See if you can get a better price if you're just a little patient. You might be able to make more money if you're a little patient. And by calling your exits, you can be the first one in line. When you find that support and you come right up underneath it and say, oh, I'd be willing to sell there, we'll put a price in there. And when it jumps and bounces back, you're in queue. Ding! Boy, it was only there for a minute and you're the one that got it. Easy way to trade. Sayada, we could take a look at that if you like. I can't remember. Is this the, God, I hate to take a guess. SSTYA, is it?
It should just be SYTA.
All right. SSY?
Just one S on that one.
Oh, one S.
Yep.
Oh, he's got a dollar sign in front of it? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I need better glasses. These only work within so many feet. Okay, let's see what we got here. Sayada Mobile. Is this the company that is working with all this interior communication? Cellular carrier, smart service slash unit, cellular booster installation, Sciata Mobile.
Yeah, they're the ones that did the school bus and I believe the first responders.
I know we've looked at two companies that are working with this. Let me see here. There's one very quick way to tell. Bingo. Just go to their website and see what pictures you see. Yes. Okay. Yeah, it's exactly what you were talking about. It is communication without having, well, like a walkie-talkie or a CB. You know, you didn't have to have a cellular connection. It just worked like a ham radio. It just works for you. Let's see what we got going here. We got any new news going on? 12:30. That's old news up top. Yeah, just a couple of days ago, SATA receives a $750,000 order for its next generation push-to-talk over cellular solution. That's going to get popular. People are tired of these cellular bills or just not getting reception. We used to have to use these sort of radios in California because our phones would not work down in the canyons because of all the rock. You just couldn't get any signals down there, but these radios worked. Any disclosures? Anything new over here that might be stimulating the market? Ooh, we've got a couple 6Ks, and there ain't no telling what a 6K is going to tell you. It can hold anything. This is about the deal that they were just talking about. No, this isn't. This is about the minimum bid price. What is their price right now? They are sitting at 17 cents on the NASDAQ. Anytime you're under $1 on a major exchange, you're in hot water. And if you're down there too long, you can get demoted, kicked right off of the major exchange down to the OTC. We've been seeing a lot of that here recently since inflation started. They're at 17 cents. And they tell us over here that they have
180 days.
Yeah, but look right there. 180 days or until February 22nd, 2023.
Yeah. They must have filed it a while ago.
Well, that's yesterday, the cutoff. They've already been granted, which means we could see them on the OTC tomorrow. I don't see any extra extension here. I don't see any extra dates here. The company now has here. The company now has until August 21st, 2023. So there you go. Whew, that was close, boy. I thought that was yesterday. It was like, oh, we've got a problem here. So they're still in hot water, but they've got their head above water and they're making money right now. Speaking of making money, what sort of revenues they got going on here? 7.5 million. They got to keep 1.8 million in 2021. And on the quarterly basis, come on, now we got people waiting. Nothing. They're not giving us any information over here. Quick look at that balance sheet. Total assets, 12 million. Total long-term, 9 million. Well, they've got at least 3 million more in assets and liabilities. So that's about what we got going on here. A little bit of extra income. Money is steady coming in. And they've got a warning sitting on the table that they got to get resolved. They got to get that price up over $1 before August 23rd. What's that chart look like, Pookie? It's so much out here. You're waiting to tap into your masteries.
You gave me this one and not Lunar. It's okay. It's okay. So first,
stealing all the glory, aren't I?
Yeah, look at this. I had Lunar all. It was beautiful. I had it all mapped out. And I was going to walk through it.
Hey, if you want to talk about Lunar, if you see something there I missed, by all means, shine your light, friend.
Okay. Well, so yeah, I'll do it really quick though, because I know we got a lot to cover here. So basically, one of the biggest problems a lot of traders have is knowing when to let things breathe and knowing when to move stops up, take profits, and all that good stuff, right? Because everyone can, even if you're just good at guessing, right? You can get in sometimes in some good opportunities, but getting out is the other 90% of it, and that's where people get messed up. So, looking at the 3-minute chart here on Lunar, if you were part of the run yesterday, you can see it was nothing but a series of higher lows along this trend line here, the support line. And then it finally broke, retested again, and then fell. So I've marked everywhere where the stop losses should have been moved up. This is a really good chart to study if you just kind of want to screenshot it on your own chart, kind of practice, replay it, and really just identify where the lows are and where the price starts to move up after that. That's when we like to move our stops up when it comes to at least day trading. on the market. I'm not sure about OTC because I know you guys have more wiggle room in the bid ask. But during regular trading, this is a pretty easy recipe to follow because you're just watching shapes and colors, and then once they go up, you move a line up, right? And then, of course, once it's disrespected, confidence becomes weaker, and you can see here there's less volume, less volume, less volume. It failed and then fell all the way down. So that's as hard as it really has to be. And when it comes to locking in profits, anytime you see an impulse, you have the option to lock in profits. If it goes up another 50% after you lock profits, that's okay. Nobody's going to guess the top 100% of the time. The important thing is that you follow your plan and you lock in profits when you see them and when you're comfortable taking them. That takes a lot of the emotion out of the equation, and that's where mistakes happen, is when you get emotional. So we saw a lot of people made a lot of money on this yesterday, and then there's still a lot of people that didn't know how to get out, and they're still in it today. So hopefully that wasn't anyone watching this. But
whoa, what a fire.
Yeah. And if it was, that's okay. It's okay to be new. It's okay to not know things. Just
looks like a meteor crashing into the ground.
Yeah. Dirt. Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, but it's
all right. So you want to take a look at that SYTA, was it?
Yeah. So first thing I want to notice here, or make a note of here, is there's a lot of gaps, right? And that tells me there's either super low volume or super low float or a combination of both. In this case, I believe SAT is just under 50 million shares for the free float, which means it's probably going to move quick when there is volume, which means
we forgot to look at that.
Yep. When this happens, we typically just want to trade the catalysts, right? Because that's going to bring in the volume. It's going to move the price. So it's not so much a trend-based trade in that case. It's more of a volume-based trade. But there are some key levels here that you can still identify, at least. So I'm just going to draw a line there and a line here. And you can see we've kind of been mostly in this channel here. It's not too it's not too flashy, but then again, it's a low float stock, so you're not really going to get very consistent ups and downs here, right? You're going to get these identifiable peaks and these identifiable valleys, and all you really have to do is watch for trade opportunities between them. And then when the runs happen, lock them in. That's it. Upside, downside. Obviously, you don't want to be caught in this. Which is why it's important to have a plan in place for the other two scenarios, not just the one that makes you a profit. But this is a nice clean channel. I mean, there's plenty of money to be made here. What I personally like to do is I like to draw a line right in the middle of that, and then that becomes my kind of risk reward level. Anything below here has a greater than 1 risk reward. Anything above here has a less healthy risk reward. So I typically don't want to look for entries here. I'll typically look for them down here. Once it starts to pull off this level, that's really where we start to look for trades, because once it validates and confirms that bottom, then you know exactly where you can put your stop loss. And then when it does move up, you can just lock in those profits. Most people prefer to lock them in just under a resistance level here. But of course, you can just use your best judgment in the moment. There's no blanket rule. There's no magic formula to this. You're just kind of trading what you see and making the best decisions you can with the information available at the time. But this, you can see it's pretty consistently hit these two levels over and over again. And we just pulled out of the kind of the healthy risk territory into unhealthy risk. So we're going to watch it kind of respond to this level here, and it may break through, and that's okay. If it does, I'd like to see a retest from above and then a push up. Otherwise, it might just fall back down here. The other scenario is that it falls back down, hits and holds this level, and then pulls up again. At that point, that's when I'd start looking for another trade myself.
Yep.
That's all you can do. Yep.
All right. Let's jump on into the next one here from Velmore. Velmore, you say there's some sort of deal closing tomorrow, and I'm looking around here. I've been through the news. This is the same news we looked at before. They got their license here from the DEA to work with controlled substances. We don't know what substance it is. EPIQ scripts to complete with True Pill. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but I don't see anything about a deal. And jumping over in there to disclosures, I see we've got 213Gs, which are good. I mean, that's great, but it's not about any sort of deals they're making. These are big investors coming in, buying so many shares that they qualify for a certain percentage of the company. This person's got just under 10%. And we've got two of those over here. So we've got more investors coming into the company. And then you've got a quarterly report here back in November. Maybe this 8K all the way back in August entered into securities. What did you see something?
Yeah, I don't like that NT10Q. So just real quick, a quick summary.
Oh, that there. Yeah, well, that was them being late, but they did get it in a day later.
Yes, 10Ks are okay for me personally because they require external auditing and stuff. 10Qs they can do entirely in office, so it's got to be a justifiable reason to file an NT10Q. I personally don't like those.
You see this a lot on the OTC market, and it could be a matter of finances because they're not cheap, they're not free to do. And there seems to be some sort of weird ploy here. We've noticed that when what I call a not 10Q, we're not filing. And inside, you'll normally get whatever excuse they've got, and it buys them 5 days. Yeah. Well, it's amazing how many times a company will file this just before financials, and we don't know what they're going to be. And the stock runs based on the not 10Q being filed. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, what's left for the financials, good or bad? What's the point? So we see these not 10Qs come out, but normally you don't see the filing come out the next day. They take every 5 days they can get.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't see any deal here. I'm just unaware of something unless there's something somewhere else. It hasn't been brought over here. Now, news, you've got the upstairs news and the downstairs news, which is imported from other places online. But there's nothing here since November, December. So I honestly don't know of any deal. Should I know of some deal? I feel so out of the loop now. Thank you very much, Belmore. All right, just for some beeps and giggles, let's take a look at the chart for AMIH right now. Just since we're talking about it, if you can, Pookie.
Sure. I was actually just looking. I saw that DEA controlled substance. That was back in December, I believe.
Yeah.
Based on this article I saw. I don't see anything after that. Yeah. So, all right, let's pull up the script here for AMIH. First thing I like to look at, obviously, is the float. This one is even lower. It's 12.75 outstanding, 11.96 free float. So that means that the difference between those are restricted shares. That could be part of employee packages. It could be part of private
So what do we
sales.
got there? About 11 million?
Yeah, about 12 million. Yep.
Oh, yeah. That's a low float.
Nice little popper if it gets the right news. So looking at this, obviously, there's a lot of flatness long term. So we're not going to be looking to buy this and hold it on a whim and then lock in 300% over a couple of weeks, right? We really want to trade the news on these lower float stocks as well. But this does have some good volatility in it. Looks like it just really has trouble holding on to profits, just looking at the behavior of it. So this is the daily chart. Let's go ahead and just scale out to the weekly here. I always like to look out as far as I can just to kind of get a feel for how things are going.
Yeah.
So it looks like maybe this company has a lot of dilution or some. No, I guess not, because that'd be a low float.
Well, let me see. It is on the OTC, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. The OTC is starving for volume right now. We got 12,500 securities, and I think today we had less than 5 billion shares amongst them all. True. I mean, they're just even good news. Even if you have hot news, you may get overlooked because there's just not enough money to go around to cover your base today.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's pretty rough. All right. Well, we can only get what we
appreciate your pity.
That's right. All right. So I don't like these dashed lines. Sorry. I should have been prepared here.
You're doing fine.
So I do see a couple levels here that are kind of important as well. So this one here, and when I identify a level, all I'm looking for is to make sure that it's been tested from both directions. So you can see this was tested from below as a resistance over here and as above as a support level here. And it's retesting currently. Same with this upper line here, it acted as a support, resistance, resistance. So these two are pretty strong levels. The more times a stock hits a trend line or a level, the stronger it tends to be, especially if there's volume at that level when that happens, because there's more people participating. That's why people like to watch levels. As far as an actual trend here, looks like it's going to be pretty rough to justify this diagonal trend, so it might just be too early in the setup. What I would really look for here is going to be probably more of these channel plays. That seems to be the flavor of the week when it comes to these low float catalyst poppers. So right here, again, if I draw a line between these two, about halfway through, anything below this level, as long as it starts to pull up, has a healthy risk reward if my trade is from this level to this level up here. I just want to grab it somewhere below halfway here. After it starts to pull up, after it holds, confirms, and validates this level, start to get that bullish volume in. I don't want to try to guess the bottom. But after it starts to show some strength, that's when you want to buy in, set a stop loss immediately. That's, I guess, that's where I had my dash line. So this would be a pretty decent level for stop loss. But again, you want to catch it on the way up rather than just catching it on the way down as it's hitting a level, because it could just as easily blow through any of these levels, especially with the right catalyst.
All right. Let's see. We've got a couple here. I'm going to jump into kegs here. But before I jump into kegs, I think a lot of people are interested in this one, HNRC. HNRC had their dividend that was spun out. WDHI, that was the company that came out, and their record date was December 16th with a disbursement date of the shares December 30th. And here it is, February 23rd, and we still don't have our shares. Isn't the first time this has happened. Well, they have many times told us everything's filed. FINRA has them. We're just waiting. Well, what they tell us today is a little bit of more information, but we still don't have a date. But they're at least communicating with us. HNRC announces WDHI listing and the dividend. The anticipated target listing for WDHI will now be $3.50 a share. If you remember, it was originally $5 a share. Not that that has any effect on us. They're just using different math now. Before, it was going to be, we were going to get 1 share of WDHI for every 3.2 something shares of HNRC. Well, now it's even math. Now it's we get 1 share of WDHI for every 2 shares of HNRC, but it's still $1.75 dividend free for every single share of HNRC you got. So we caught it. We're just waiting for it to complete. Then they've got a couple of extra pieces of news here, which is pretty good. The company has also signed an agreement with an underwriting firm to complete an uplisting for HNRC onto the major exchange in 2023. So anytime in the next 8-9 months. The $10 million underwriting commitment for working capital to fund current operations, expansions, and acquisitions. So they've got the money to do what they want to do. And then there is one other thing we need to mention, and they mentioned this back when they were talking about the dividend. The company intends to focus on realizing the value on the total of $1.15 per share in current appraised energy assets held by its subsidiaries for the benefit of the shareholders. When they spun out WDHI, they took out about $54 million worth of assets, and they left $38 million worth of assets, and they did an audit on that. And they said, based on the assets that came out the filing, that the shares are worth $1.15. And ever since then, it has been falling. And everybody's wondering, why is it falling? Well, it's market sentiment. People are upset that they haven't done what they said they're going to do. As far as we know, it's FINRA, but you can't do anything to FINRA. So nobody's buying the stock for HNRC. We know they've got oil wells in Texas. We know they got 33 million barrels underneath the ground, ready to be tapped, blah, blah, blah. We know they've got assets. They've come out with their filings, but yet the stock is falling. A lot of people are averaging down right now. When those dividends come out, chances are what people are hating, they'll start to love again. We're very fickle like that, and the company could just turn around. So if you're holding a bag right now, because most of us didn't sell our HNRC, we couldn't. Not until we hit the record date. Well, by the time the record date hit, it was already down. And I'm sure most of you didn't sell, and it's been falling ever since then. So you're waiting for your free shares, and you're holding a bag. I understand why you're not happy. That's why the stock's down. Nobody wants to do anything with it right now. But that's probably not going to last long. Really don't need to look at that chart. It's sad. We're just waiting for market sentiment to change before the chart actually changes. But we do want to look at kegs. Kegs gets a lot of buzz online, though she's at a pretty low price, 0004. can't get much lower. 0001 is the floor. She makes brewery beer. She's in the beer making business. Dropped a lot in volume today, folks, from 200,000 down to 71,000. But in saying that, let's take a quick look here. Share volume, we had 5.8 billion done today, which is low. We're way under 10 billion. Trades was low today. Everything was low today. So it was a slow day. Share structure for kegs is ridiculous. 3.6 billion. We can do with less. And that's scary, folks. Now, I don't expect it down here at the 000s, but when they get up in the high 00s or a penny, they may consider doing a reverse split. If they're making good money and want better people to view their stock, they're going to have to get the price up. And they got a lot of shares there that are just screaming reverse split if that itch ever comes in. Now, if they're going to do a reverse split, they would normally do an uplist with it too. You get two birds with one stone. And I don't see any independent directors here. You got to have those to uplist. So that's another telltale sign to watch for. News. Let me see. We do have some fresh news came out yesterday. The company achieved strong beer sales growth in first months of 2023. That's good to hear. Let me see. Currently, sales to distributors is over 280% of their sales. That was for 2022. Whoa, they are growing very quickly. If they've done 280% of 2022's revenues already, and we haven't even hit March yet, they're doing bloody well. So they are doing well. They're bragging about doing well. Do we actually see any new business here? Chief Agency for Hospitality Talent Executive Search. They're headhunting. Shareholder update. This is probably where you're going to get most of your information right there. New York City distribution for sale of its products in Canada. They're on a run here. They're doing a lot. Are they making money doing it? Come on. We got people waiting. All right, this is not going to give us anything here. I think they're all going to be blank. You'd actually have to jump into a disclosure to get this information. And we've got nothing else over here. And everything looks good. They're pink current. They've got both those green ticks I'm always telling you about. So the company looks good, except for the fact they've got way too many shares. And the price is down in that 000 zone where you don't get a lot of movement fast. You've got to have some hellacious news to break out of there to get up to the 00s anytime soon. So does the chart look like a picket fence or a barcode, Pookie?
Yeah, it's a little rough. It's a little bit rough.
Yeah, I was expecting that.
Yeah, and you'll see that. It's either low volume or it's super heavily diluted and there's just not enough volume to move anything.
Now I'm feeling guilty about Lunar again. It's just
I get it.
This is what I give you. My bad. You'll never be a guest again, and I don't blame you.
No, we're okay. So there are still things we can get out of this, right? So we can look at the behavior of the stock and look at some of the metrics like the float. Obviously, the float is very high. So we're not going to look for a popper on this one. What I do see here is a lack of sustainability. So every time you get one of these big runs, it sells off immediately the day after or the same day sometimes. A lot of wicks here to the upside and a lot of hard sell-off, often to lower lows. So again, with this one, if they can turn the company around and they can start producing more and getting themselves in the spotlight more, forming new partnerships and all that good stuff. If they can shore up on the company side, I think the chart will reflect that. There's a lot of potential. But for right now, there's not a lot of confidence from shareholders long term. So what this usually means is there's a lot of short-term speculators on there. They'll buy into the run. Sometimes they'll forget to sell. They'll sell harder on the way down, and it'll just drop off even harder, triggering stop losses and all that good stuff. So when the volume is here, this thing moves. And when the volume starts to fall off, it moves the other way. So if you do trade this is one, they're ideal for moving stop losses up, watching for those higher lows. So if I look at it, if I look at this, for example, this is this little run up right here. You can see it's got the same setup with higher lows. It's continually forming higher candles. You really just want to follow the momentum on that one. Don't try to build a position on the way up because that's not going to end well.
No, with most of these OTC stocks, profit takers are almost part of the game now. Yeah.
Yep. And fortunately, this is still subject to all the laws of supply and demand. So you can see here we've got a kind of a Hail Mary pullback. We know that we get to 25% pullback 90% of the time, 50% 60% of the time, 61.8% 40% of the time, and anything below that is a Hail Mary as to whether or not you're going to see continuation. When that does happen, however, they tend to go very high for a very long period of time. So this is a potentially close watch, because if they do put out some news, this might very well get a lot of volume and it might run really hard. But right now it's got bearish sentiment. It's technically bearish, which means that there's not a lot of people speculatively watching it. So just be careful is all, and wait for the right time. You just got to sit there like a sniper. Sometimes it takes a while, but we'll get them.
Sounds good. Looks okay, but sounds better.
Yeah.
I like the way you pop me back up. You're efficient. Very good.
I try.
Lily, you do a great job too, hon. But he's doing good for a first timer. Doing excellent. All right, we have Jimco. He wants to talk about BMXI. What do you think about BMXI with an acquisition and a $6 price target? DLYT looks interesting as well. Well, let's take a look at BMXI. So with an acquisition, right, I seen that in a price target. Well, first thing I'll say about price targets, it's all about who gave it. Yeah, it's really about, if EF Hutton or Morgan Stanley does it, yeah, people are listening and paying attention. And you'll normally see as soon as it comes out, the price is moving towards it. If it doesn't go right to it, just underneath. But if Tom Dilroy does it, there's a lot of price targets out there. Some of them are ridiculous, just mind-blowing. And if you just go posting them around, it just shows that you don't know, the value of who gives the price target is what makes a price target. But they did make an acquisition. This is an exploration company in mining, I think it is. What do they do? The company currently operates 2 gold-producing properties in volcanic hosted sediment within the tropical rainforest region of Indonesia, somewhere in Indonesia. I normally don't look at mines. A lot of this goes by me, and I'll tell you right now, you go through the news here at the OTC market, 8 out of every 10 are about a mine. Some kind of mine or oil. I mean, they just came out of the woodwork when Biden passed that bill. They're everywhere now. But I do see they had an agreement back here in the beginning of February, a binding agreement to acquire a producing gold mine in Brazil. Haven't done any due diligence. I don't know what it's worth. I don't know if it's producing. Their authorized shares, which isn't a big deal to investors. That's more about what they're going to do. That's their bank account. Until they hit the open market, you don't have too much concern there unless they're diluted. Speaking of finances, the one thing that did stand out to me, this is one of the reasons I don't like mining companies. Most of them don't have revenues. They are literally still in exploration. They're spending money looking for it, spending money investigating it, talking about it, setting up for it, but they're not making any money. This company is, and it seems to be steady growing here from 6 million to 10 million to 14 million. There's 3 zeros here. We got to add all the numbers. And on the quarterly, well, we got quarterly numbers too. They're doing about 4 million, 4.5 million every quarter, and they're getting to keep a lion's share of what they're getting right now. So far, this company looks pretty decent. They've got something going on here. They're on the pink, and they've got all that validated information. So everything looks good there for them as well. And filings, we got nothing current here that'll give us any new insight. And they're all caught up on their financials. So all in all, it is looking good, but some more due diligence obviously is necessary for me to know what this acquisition is worth. But if you're buying a gold mine, I'm figuring it's got to be worth at least gold. What's the chart look like, Pookie? Has it got any gold there, or is it a hard chart?
Potentially, yeah, actually. I think we have a pretty decent watch opportunity here. I think, I'm not 100% sure, are they required to file their earnings the same as NASDAQ in them every 3 months?
Yes, every 3 months.
I think, don't they have theirs coming up pretty soon then?
Yeah, it should be coming out right about now. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That might be what we need to kick us over the edge then. I wouldn't recommend buying in now, obviously.
Right.
Watch
Good catalyst.
Yep. Again, the same exact chart as all the others you've given me so far. I'm just kidding. So this one is a lower.
No, you're right. You're right. Most of them look, penny stocks are in the same current.
Yeah.
They kind of all look the same right now.
Yeah. No, I like them. This is what I like to trade, actually. It's It's those fast movers, locking those profits. That's what I like in this kind of market. When it comes to building down positions and kind of developing passive growth, that's cool. But it takes a lot longer in this kind of market. So you got to be a little
It's
more
choppy.
patient. Yeah, but these you can get in and out, in and out, in and out. So looking at this chart, you see the same kind of characteristics. It runs up really hard when the volume's there, sells off just as hard when it's gone. So what we have right here, I've identified some key levels here, and this little white line right here is kind of a local minor level here. So not really anything significant to watch for, but if it gets rejected here and it can hold this level, that might be a good enough rally for it to push back up and break over that level here, which is a stronger resistance. So if I zoom out here, you can see that these levels have been hit pretty hard historically, and there's a nice gap right here. It's a good size gap. What I want to watch for is when the earnings comes out, if that is enough to trigger volume, you could blast right through this level, and that's where I'd want to try to trade some of that momentum, obviously with stop losses in place and moving them up. But you can see we kind of had a good little pop of volume back in January, and that had a nice little run up here. You got the 8 to 10 candle rule, of course. It just fell off just as hard after that, but it came right back to the level where it was when it started. So after this run, if that same behavior persists, it might fall back to this level, which will provide us a wider channel to trade in the future if it fails to break above here. So something to watch out for. I would watch, let me just make these a little thicker. I guess we'll highlight those. This is going to be a pretty important level. Again, if it breaks, and this range right here between these two levels, that's kind of shakeout territory because you're going to have a lot of bag holders over here. I like to call this bag holder city. It's got to come up and visit it, drop some kids off, and then come back. It's like a little school bus. We don't want to be up there. Or I should say we don't want to buy up there or get stuck.
No.
So yeah, I'm probably going to watch this one myself. Yeah, so key break over maybe 19 cents and just watch it.
All right, I think I've got something figured out here that I've been under the radar about. I'm sure I mentioned this a while ago. Velmore, thank you for making that clear to me. You know, when we look at COSM over here, right? Yeah, COSM. You don't see any news jumping out here about no Zip Doctor acquisition. We were over there already at AMHI or whatever that was, and you didn't see any news over there either. It's very easy to overlook. I had to actually go over here to Google. I could not find any information. I know what you're talking about with Zip Doctor. And it's like, so where did I see it? Was it in a filing? I'm sure it was. I'm sure I saw it in a filing, and they haven't put it out in a news press. But I've got news right here that they're talking about that deal. Cosmos Health working with AMIH, which was a stock we just looked at, Pookie, that didn't look too great. They've got a deal going on with Zip Doctor. That is AMIH's subsidiary, and they are selling it to Cosmos. So there's a merger. No, it's an acquisition. It is an acquisition right there. And this is obviously going to help COSM. It's going to, I don't know what the deal is. I haven't gone through all of this. If they're just a straight out selling, here's Zip Doctor, if they're going to bring their management with them and continue operating it so everything runs smoothly and make some money doing that, I really don't know. Let's see here. Value expected to grow. Yeah, that's all projections. I don't see any value for the sale or anything. I don't see any dates here either. Do you see something there, Pookie?
No, they're just, it's a LOI. It's a non-binding letter of intent so far.
Right. So we're just waiting for the next process, you know.
Sorry, I see a date of February 24th. So maybe we expect a catalyst on that day,
which is tomorrow.
Yep.
So that would be your window of opportunity. So you're right. Right now would be the time to watch. And which one would you want to watch? Well, probably COSM. I would think, obviously, watch them both. But I'm thinking COSM now. I keep forgetting, was COSM or COMS? One of them really ran hard. I mean, they both were running for a while, and then one went nuts and ran really hard, and then one came down. Why don't we take a look at that COSM chart, COSM, Pookie?
Sure. Yeah, this one is, we've traded this one a lot. That's nice.
So it must have been the one that had the activity. If you were trading it, it had activity.
Yep, this one and KOSS. We traded those two for sure. But this one we liked. Yeah, it's kind of the similar setup here. But what we're seeing here is absence of volatility. So stock market ebbs and flows, volume and breathability of a stock. Of course, every period of high volatility is followed by some sort of low volatility period, and vice versa. So obviously we had this kind of ebb and flow, ebb and flow, ebb and flow, heavy consolidation, and then an explosion. And we're heading back into a consolidation. There's no telling how long that's going to last. But if we do have a volume catalyst coming in, maybe at the end of a 4-day week as well, that might be enough to force people kind of it'll corral them into certain trades. And if this gets enough volume, enough run early in the day, I think we might have a nice little run off of this one. I do like this chart. It's very consolidated now. But it does still like to respect the higher highs, higher lows. It's very respectful of trends, which is usually a pretty good opportunity to trade these relatively safely. So again, when you see a higher low, for example, and it starts to push up, that's just move your stop loss up, let it breathe. That way you don't have to worry about panicking and selling. Obviously, if you see a huge impulse, you want to lock in some profits in most cases. As soon as that impulse stops moving, you can always lock some in. Same to the downside. You just wait until it stops moving down, forms a bottom, starts to pull up, and then if it keeps going, you want to place a buy with a tight stop. But if you just see a straight downtrend like this is lower highs, lower lows. There's no need to touch it yet. Just add it to a watch list, sit on your hands for a little bit,
Right.
Make a sandwich, and then come back and see if there's a better opportunity later. Don't try to guess the bottoms because you get shredded.
Yeah. Guessing. Anytime you're guessing, that's when you set yourself up for a shred. That's guess and shred. You should put those two words together. It's not a pretty picture.
No, humans and brains, we have a terrible set of default behaviors when it comes to trying to fill in blanks and anticipating with regards to the stock market. It kept us alive back in the day, but we don't need that now. So we cannot guess consistently. So rather than guessing, wait till it starts to happen and then base your actions on that.
Yeah. And now, it's not just the natural ebb and flow of human nature. We're now dealing with AIs that are trading, which that's a whole different biorhythm across our charts, anti-biorhythm, if you will. Everything else is human. And all of a sudden you've got something else playing against us that understands us better than we understand ourselves. It's going to even get harder at this rate with AI exploding the way it is.
Yeah, I was actually just talking about this yesterday. These companies have multi-millions or billions of dollars. They pay computer scientists, psychiatrists, everybody under the sun that has any kind of relation to the human brain to come up with these algorithms. They know exactly where to hurt you. They know exactly what most people's tendencies are. They know when to trigger you into buying, triggering you into selling. And that's why on my live streams, I like to walk through the level 2 data, because that's you can watch the orders as they're filled. You can watch the orders as they're placed. And more importantly, you can watch these bots fight. And once you start to understand them and identify their behaviors, you can just watch people just run right into a wall and get hurt. It doesn't feel good, but it does feel good to know that we weren't one of those people because we waited. So
absolutely. There's a lot of information that can be taken and used. And it's just a matter of being introduced to it and then being told how it works. And once you understand, you can easily incorporate it. I've incorporated a few new tools this last year, which I'm very happy I've done. And I've been sharing with people the ADX and the PPO. I find them better than my RSI and MACD. But you know what was really interesting to me is one day I just got curious. Where do you get this line on this oscillator? What is it? Yep. And you start realizing everything you see on your oscillators is already on your chart. It's just self-imposing the lines with different lines.
It's a summary.
You're just coupling them in different ways. And it's like, why do we like our information so organized? Because we work better organized. And that's what trading is. It should feel organized. You should know everything you're doing from start to finish, why I'm getting in, how much I'm getting, where I want to get in, where I want to get out. And even if it continues growing, which we see a lot in the OTC, you don't get down on yourself. If you completed your trade successfully, that's cause for celebration. Forget about what you left on the table. Let me tell you what, the game is one or the other, chasing the gains or chasing the ceiling. You chase the ceiling, you normally lose your gains. You chase your gains, the hell with the ceiling. Do you care how high the ceiling is in the building when you go in? No. It can be 6 inches to 600 inches. It doesn't matter. You're comfortable in there. Take your gains and stay comfortable. That's what type of market we're in right now. And that's why we're not seeing long lasting gains on the charts, folks. People understand nothing's Look at Lunar. Man, that was a humongous drop. It didn't even just fall 50%, which is what I consider normal if the stock has value. Now, what am I to think? I'm thinking profit takers. That was huge. That was a lot of money nobody wanted to pass on. And when they seen it disappearing, everybody got in there. And now we're going to find a floor. She's going to bounce up. And I'm not just talking about Lunar. I'm talking about the warrant too. It's all part of the same sentiment. And the warrant is a penny stock, folks. In case you don't know, folks, we've been playing warrants to death on these SPACs. SPACs are still alive and kicking. They're making a lot of deals. A lot of them are dying. I'm primarily focusing on the ones making deals, the ones that are progressing closer and closer to the finish line and then hitting that finish line. There are many that are having votes to extend their deadlines. That's good news, but not great news. They approve them. That's good news as well, but not great news unless they have approved it and extended to complete a deal they've already started. Then that's excellent news. I mean, you had one foot in the grave here. That would be excellent news. And you need to keep up with that, folks. You need to keep up with the SPAC news wherever you like. If you got a Twitter account, there's a lot of SPAC news there. You can find some sites that only talk about SPACs. Come over to our Discord group, folks. This is really where I put all the news. If I put it in Facebook, Twitter, I'm putting it in Discord. Discord gets a copy of everything. That's my home base. I don't have to compete with anybody over there. I've got one page. All the news comes in for these SPAC warrants, bankruptcies, mergers, acquisitions. I do it perpetually. It just doesn't seem to stop. So if you really want to keep up, come on over there. You can talk to me, talk to Lily, talk to Pookie. He is available to talk to, as well as a whole bunch of others of us there who are only there to trade. We're not there to hype anything up. We're there to help each other make money. And we'd love to see you there. You got anything to add, Pookie?
No, I think you hit quite a few nails there on the head. And kind of one analogy that I've been using lately is that nobody, when it comes to buying and selling and stuff, is nobody knows what day of the week they're going to die on. But you're guaranteed at least one of those is going to be it, unfortunately. So it doesn't make sense to go out and buy a coffin and write the word Tuesday on it and then do all your risky stuff on Tuesday. So don't do that with your trading either. Spread things out, identify risk, and always have a plan. That way you're not caught off guard on maybe a Wednesday or a Thursday. You always have a plan. The only thing that you can control in the stock market, whether it's OTC, NASDAQ, whatever, is your risk exposure. That's it. You don't move the price up. You don't move the price down. That's all the bots and HFTs and stuff that you have no connection with, and they don't care about your feelings, unfortunately.
Yep. Nope.
They don't call me in the morning and ask if I want to make money. So I can only identify them and follow them. They don't follow me.
Yeah, I like to think of it as a soldier. A soldier has an objective and they have a top priority, and you cannot get them confused. The objective of a soldier is to eliminate the enemy. Like a trader is to make profits. That's your objective, but that is not your number one priority. Your number one priority is control risk. That soldier has to stay alive. He doesn't want to get hurt. That's his number one priority. Then he can accomplish his objective. Watch your butt, folks. Cover your six. Always make sure you're keeping your risk that you can control. We can't stop it, but you can minimize it. That's what we're talking about. Keeping control of it. You can't make money if you keep losing money. That's why I say take your gains. Little gains every day is better than waiting for that home run whenever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that's actually funny you mentioned that, because there is a concept of 360-degree security. You watch all the angles. Everybody has a specific job, and that way nobody surprises you, because surprises are painful. So same thing with trading.
Most of them.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we hit the nail on the head there. We are at 5 o'clock. Hopefully we got everybody. We did. We didn't miss anybody there. We did miss somebody. We missed Lily. Yeah. Sorry you weren't here, Lily. Pookie did an excellent job, but I do miss your charisma. Absolutely. I hope you're feeling better. That it, Pookie? We done?
I think so. Yeah, I'm good. Again,
I couldn't tell by the expression on your face.
Sorry, I try to. That's my poker face.
All right, folks. We'll see you next Thursday, 4:00. Hopefully, Lily will be feeling better then. We'll see you then too. Bye-bye.
Bye.